All right, so we're just gonna roll into it. What to expect when you get to your first military unit, your first Army unit. Um, when I reported to my first unit, and people's experience may be a little bit different, but I keep in touch with a lot of the guys that I went to basic training with. They've been to units all over the world, all different places, and our experiences are they're basically, they all go along the same lines. So this is what you can expect more or less when you report to your first unit fresh out of basic. When I reported to my first unit fresh out of basic, I walk into the building and these guys are at formation. I walk in like, oh crap, what are you supposed to do? You don't have a platoon. You can't just go fall in somewhere random and pretend like you belong there. Luckily, there was an E7, the E7 that handled all the new incoming soldiers into the unit. He got up with me, and it should be a similar situation for everyone, but you're going to get up with this E7 and he's going to take you into his office, and you're going to sit down and he's going to tell you, just basically what to expect. You're going to go over a bunch of paperwork, all your housekeeping crap. He's going to tell you just how things go in the unit, just the day-to-day things. And he should also tell you what platoon you're going to be assigned to. They should already have that worked out. This E7 is also going to get you in touch with a senior E4 or just somebody that's senior in the unit. Most likely won't be an NCO, but for me, it was a senior E4, just to kind of be your guide, basically. You're going to get attached to this guy's hip and you just follow him around for the first couple days. You're going to be at your unit and, just kind of absorb and learn from him. He's going to be the one that shows you where everything is, shows you just how day-to-day things go, where you need to be. He's just going to introduce you into the unit. So just follow him and he should be able to get you squared away. This person is also going to introduce you to your chain of command within your platoon. So, your section sergeant, your platoon sergeant, and your platoon leader. He's going to introduce you to all these people. Once you finally meet these people, first impressions are always important. So when you meet your section sergeant, platoon sergeant, platoon leader, don't just approach these guys as a new guy. Hey, how you doing? Hey, make a good first impression, because if you're going to be a lifer, you're going to be in the Army for a long time, you're going to be stuck with these people for a long time. So you want to make a good impression. The people around you can and will make or break you in the Army. So you want to make a very good impression with these people. When I met my platoon leader and platoon sergeant, I just kind of told them who I was, told them a little bit about myself, and told them what I wanted to do. I said I'm a 19 Delta Cav Scout, for those who don't already know that. I said I want to learn how to be a scout. I want to learn how to do my job. I want to get good at it. I hopefully want to move into a leadership position so I can lead soldiers in the future. And that's exactly what you want to do. Have a plan, have something that you can present to them, and have a pathway that you can follow to achieve that goal. But don't just walk in there and say, hey man, this is who I am. I'm private whoever. And say, hey, this is me. This is why I'm here. This is what I want to do. Just make a really good impression. These guys like you, they're going to help you out. After you have that sit down, they're basically most likely going to go and show you where your vehicle is, and you're basically your truck team, everybody that you're going to be working with on your vehicle. All Cav units are different. You got heavy Cav, you got light Cav. I was light Cav, so we operated Humvees, but there's other units that are heavy Cav that operate Bradleys and Strikers. There's some units that are just totally dismounted. They don't operate any vehicles. I only have experience with the Humvees, so I'm just going to talk about that a little bit. But as a new guy, you're going to be a driver, period. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I came in after I graduated from college, so fortunately I was able to come into the Army as an E4. I didn't have to go through the E1s and all that stuff, okay? I was never a private, but I was still a driver for a very short amount of time. Like I said, I was a little bit older, a little bit more mature coming into the unit, so I progressed a little bit faster. But I was only a driver for a short amount of time. But you will be a driver, and being a driver, it sounds easy. I know how to drive. Everybody knows how to drive a vehicle. Easy. It's not that easy being a driver in the military, as you can imagine. There's a lot more that goes into it. If you're the driver, not only do you have to know how to drive that vehicle and operate it safely, you have to know how to fix it if it goes down. You have to maintain that vehicle like it's your own personal vehicle. You got to check all your fluid levels, check your tire pressures, checking everything on that vehicle to make sure it's safe, make sure it's in a good operating condition. You have to know how to load that vehicle whenever you're moving that vehicle, whenever you're going to the field, whenever you're moving that truck anywhere. There's got to be there's a loadout. There's a specific amount of items that have to be on that vehicle, and they have to be in very specific places and tied down in certain very specific ways. Army makes it hard. It can't be easy. So these loadouts, you have to know these loadouts. You have to know how to do it properly. You have to know how to do it safely. Once you get the truck loaded out, you have to get it mounted up with your gun and the gun turret and help your gunner do that. You have to load up your radios, load in the frequencies on the radios. Hopefully you're paying attention in basic. All this stuff is going to be kind of thrown at you. You got to know how to do it. You basically want to have that truck ready to go before your TC gets anywhere near it. The way our trucks are set up, you have a driver, you have a dismount, which is the person that hops out, sets up OPs and a couple other things. You have your gunner who sits up in the gunner's hatch. The gunner is usually the most senior guy underneath your TC, who is the NCO that's over the entire truck. He runs that truck. He sits in the front passenger seat and he basically tells you where to go. It's your job to get there, and he shouldn't have to do anything. Being that driver, that truck needs to be loaded out. It needs to be running. It needs to be, the PMCS needs to be complete. That truck needs to be ready to roll before your NCO, your TC even rolls out of bed. The truck needs to be ready to go. Your TC should be able to basically wake up, grab his gear, hop in the truck, and then he says, let's go. Everybody is already in the truck. Everybody's ready to go. That's the way it works out. That's half of being a good scout right there, is maintaining your vehicle, making it so your TC doesn't have to tell you anything. He's going to love you. If you know how to do that, you will progress very quickly. If you do that, it's easy. Sounds easy. A little bit harder in practice. But get that figured out, half the job is done right there. Like I said, I was only a driver for a short amount of time. I was a dismount on another truck for a short amount of time, and then I was basically a gunner for the majority of my time in the Army. I was a M240 Bravo gunner. It was awesome. Did that stateside, did that overseas on my recent deployment. Had a great time. Gunner's where you want to be. TC's even better, but it's all fun. Even driving's fun in some situations. Humvees are awesome vehicles, and they can do a lot of crazy things that you would not imagine, but you're probably going to find that out soon enough if you're fortunate enough to be a Humvee driver. Moving along. When you're stepping into your first unit from basic, it's very important to be in the right place at the right time. It's easy. In the right uniform. Sounds easy. I don't need to go into that. Just make sure if you do that, once again, you're already halfway there to being a great soldier. Right place, right uniform, right time. Easy. A lot of people screw that up. Another important thing when you're rolling into your first unit, try and remember a lot of the stuff that you learned from basic, because now it's going to be put into practice. When I first got to my unit, I remember just kind of being shocked at how much was being thrown at me, and how things are just given to you and you're expected to know what to do, how to do it, get it done. At basic training, everything's structured. When you're doing any of your vehicle training, there's drill sergeants everywhere. They're watching you. You literally don't do anything until they tell you to. This is very different, because when you get to your unit, fresh out of basic, in basic, you don't move the vehicle. You don't even start the vehicle until the drill sergeant tells you to. When you get to your unit, they're basically going to say, hey, here's your truck. get it rolling. You're expected to know exactly what to do, how to do it, and you're going to be looking around waiting for somebody to tell you to do something. Don't do that. Get in that truck, get it done, get it moving. There's not going to be a drill sergeant watching over you. There's not going to be somebody breathing down your throat. It's going to be on you to get it done, and make sure you get it done. But remember, a lot of things that you learned in basic, specifically land nav, that should be fresh in your mind. That's going to be very important down the road. As soon as you hit the field, you're going to need to know land nav. You're always going to need to know land nav in the Army, always. So make sure that's fresh. Remember all your weapon systems and how to operate them. If you have any issues with weapons, there's somebody at the unit that you can get with. Just say, hey man, I'm having the issue with this weapon. I don't quite remember how to clear a 240. They'll get you squared away. Range cards, if you went over those in basic, those are going to be big when you start going to the field, and when you start going to ranges. Range cards are going to be huge. We didn't do a lot of work with range cards stateside, but once we got deployed overseas, range cards were huge. Making range cards, reading them, understanding them, and getting that information out. That's huge, so make sure you learn range cards inside and out. Most importantly, in my opinion, is the Line Medevac that you learned in basic training 2. That's going to be huge overseas. That can mean the difference between life and death. And that's something that we got harped on a lot overseas, to the point where it was, we were basically forced to memorize the Line Medevac. It's something that we got quizzed on all the time because it's that important. You need to know how to do that. Everything that you're going to be doing at your unit, just understand that it's all basically at your unit. It's just training. You're developing these skills to ultimately get deployed overseas and put everything that you've learned into practice. So make sure you're learning, make sure you're actually absorbing this stuff. Pen and paper. I have a pen and paper right here. I always have pen and paper with me. I'm always writing things down because I forget things all the time. Always take notes. Always have that pen and paper with you. That way you're prepared, even if it's something that you don't remember. You got it right here. Open that book and go through it. But pen and paper, that's huge, because a lot of stuff is going to get thrown at you. A lot of numbers, a lot of times you're not going to remember that stuff. Don't even try to do that. That's how you end up late for formation. That's how you end up getting smoked bad. And you will get smoked being a new guy to your unit, but I don't need to explain that. You should already expect that. You will get smoked. Stepping into this unit, also have a plan. Like I said, I came in with a little bit of a different mindset. I joined after I graduated, so I was a little bit older than a lot of the people that I was around. So that it helped me out a lot. But something that can help you guys out a lot is, like I went over already, just have a plan, have an idea of what you want to do, have a pathway set up so that you can have a goal to start working toward. Don't just show up and don't just start going through the motions. That's the worst thing you can do. Always have a goal, always have a plan. It's going to make your time in the Army a lot easier. Have something you want to work toward, have something that you want to achieve, and just every day is just you getting closer to that goal. It's going to help you out a lot. Don't slack on PT after basic. We know how that goes. We all did it after basic. Everybody does that after basic. And take a little break after basic. Definitely do that, but get right back on that PT, because you better believe as soon as you get to your first unit, the first thing you're going to be doing is taking a PT test. And you don't want to fail your first PT test at your new unit, because just imagine how bad that is going to look on you. You failed your first PT test out of basic. That's going to stick with you forever. You do not want to do that. You don't want to fail any PT test. Do everything you can to not fail a PT test. That is just one of the absolute worst things you can do in the Army. I've been fortunate enough never to fail a PT test. I never even came close, but I enjoy working out, and you should be the same way. Stick with that PT. Don't slack on it, because if you fail that test, you're going to fat camp. You're going to be showing up even earlier to formations to do extra PT, and then you're going to do regular PT, and then you're going to have to stay late and do more PT, and it's going to be terrible. Also, if you're failing PT, you're never going to promote. You're never going to get schools. Nothing, man. Everything's out the window. A lot of it revolves around PT. So just make sure you get that make that squared away. Also, when you get to your unit, this isn't necessarily something that I did, but it's something that's going to help out you brand new guys. But be observant. There's always going to be different groups of soldiers. I mean, it's just like high school, man. There's going to be different cliques. People like to hang out with people that are similar to them and that are like-minded. Pay attention and find that group of people that are the high speeds, man. Find these high speeds and, you know, just while you're new, get up with these guys, hang with them. These are the guys that do extra PT, and these are the guys that are studying, and these are the guys that are staying late and just getting stuff done. And if you know you're going to be in the Army for a long time, you want to go far, just find these guys and start learning from them immediately. One thing about the Army, people like to teach, people like to share their experiences. It's just part of the culture. So find these guys and just be like, hey man, you know, I'm having trouble with this, or, you know, I like what you guys are doing over here. Hey, can I join in, man? You know, see if you guys can help me out. But find these guys and stick to them. But I think that about wraps it up for this video. If I forgot to cover something, just ask in the comments. I'm real good about answering your questions, but those are just a couple things that you can expect when you get to your first unit. And just remember that everything you're doing, it's all training for when you go overseas, when you going downrange. But any other questions, ask in the comments. I'm thinking about doing a video about my first deployment that I just got back from. So if you guys want to see that, just leave it in the comments and we'll see if we can get it done. All right, peace.